this. Great story. Mika and Morning Joe suck up at Mar-a-Lago. Tonight on WTF, Morning Joe visited Trump at Mar-a-Lago on Friday to kiss the ring or the ass. That didn't work out right the way I planned it. So, was it proof from Mika and Joe that all their hatred was just for show? Roll it, Frida.
We talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. It's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. For those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? It's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
There you have it, a kinder, gentler Mika and Joe. Now that Trump has won and they've shed hundreds of thousands of viewers, I think they realize the only thing lower than their self-esteem will be their ratings if they don't kiss ass. Joe hasn't begged like this since Mika refused to take his balls out of her purse. I only hope that Trump shows them some mercy and just asks them to wax and detail his golf cart. Emily, I love how they say it's about a difference in issues. They never talked about issues. It was about him, and only him being a threat to democracy.
There are so many elements to this that I just can't. The WTF, yes.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, let's go reverse Cron, how they say, we talked to him about the threats to democracy. We talked to them about political retribution. That would be like me meeting with President Trump and then being like, we talked about stunting and cheering, right? Like everyone is like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Not at all. Because all of those are lies.
Yeah.
There's nothing of anything that came out of their mouth that was ever based on fact or anything the president has ever said or insinuated or done. So unless they talked about the actual policy that will course correct America from the fraught times that it's in, thanks to those, then everything else is just BS. And the fact that they think that they can message over it by like, we deigned to meet with the scum of the earth for their 5 listeners just belies the fact that they are such elitist in the first place. Gosh, I just want it kills me. But it's so generous of the president for, I should say that the overarching thing to me was, I mean, someone looks at me crazy and I'm like, you're dead to me, I curse your whole family. So the fact that President Trump welcomed them in, he is so generous. And he talked about here on your show when he talked about RFK Jr. was like suing him and he's like, here's my private plane. Like all of that means nothing to him. He was always ready to move forward, to make amends, to make a deal. It's really incredible, I think.
Yeah, it's good to see that since you got married, you really cleaned up your language.
What does that have to do with anything?
Jamie, you're used to groveling. Let's be honest about the reality here. They're hemorrhaging viewers. The network's for sale. They're trying to save their asses.
They are in absolute survival mode. And the whole time you're watching it, you're just like, stop it. Just we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, we're not stupid. And I think it's really cool that, like, they came out, even the way they were talking and saying, they left it kind of vague as to how the meeting took place.
Yeah.
And then Trump goes, they begged me to come over.
Yeah.
Like, all the way they spoke was to hope he would assume all of these things that weren't really true. I do think it's cool that Trump, you're right, like that he met them face to face. Because if you think about a lot of the Biden meetings, a lot of them were face to floor. And some were face to food. Last weekend, it was almost face to sand.
Yes.
That's, by the way, I love that sand video. We got to get these jokes out. They expire on January 20th.
That's true.
That's true.
Biden, the sand video, I haven't seen like a fun Biden video in so long. And I saw that sand one, I was like, we're back. We're doing it again. Biden was just getting if you missed it, just getting his ass kicked by sand.
Yes.
Just 0 for 1 against sand. Whoever made that man walk on sand, he walks like he's on sand when he's on linoleum.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a dangerous thing. And Emily's so right. Like Trump, I think one of his best attributes is his ability to put something like aside and get business done. He's so forgiving. And they called him Hitler a week ago. Yeah. I had a guy online make fun of my neck. I tried to find out where he lived.
I can tell you where Kilmeade lives. Yeah. Kat, it does reveal the truth that like nothing they said was ever real. And I think you're finding their audience is like is their audience that stupid that they believe them?
I think a lot of people are actually really pissed that they said this. The whole, you never normalize him, or whatever that means. Like, he is going to be the president.
Yeah.
So but also I wonder if they were hoping for him. Well, certainly based on what they said before, they were expecting him to not meet with them, right?
Right.
Because it was like, okay, well, there's going to be no free press and this and that. So maybe they were thinking that was what was going to happen. So how very opposite for him to not just meet them, but even they said like he was nice.
Yeah.
He was saying, yes, let's kind of move forward here. So I think not just based on what they said in the past, they wouldn't have expected him to actually want to meet with him, right? Because he was going to have no free press. You had to grovel to him and all this other stuff. That's what they were saying too. So that's another thing. Yeah. Other than the Hitler stuff that they said.
Yeah, they said that would be the end of free speech. Mike, it's kind of interesting. Both of them, Emily and Jamie, said that it was like Trump said on this show that if he stopped communicating with people who said bad things about him, he wouldn't have any friends.
Right.
And
he wouldn't have been on this show.
He wouldn't have been on this show. That's right. Never Trumpers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they follow the example of Trump and just go, okay, I'm going to let go of my emotional derangement?
Yeah, they should. But, like Rick Wilson and the Lincoln Project and all those people, they're not going to change the way because it's a grift for them, right?
Yes.
That was how they made money. Those people, right, meaning the Lincoln Project and other groups like that, they can continue to make money because they will still play to a certain element that does believe we're in fraught times, like Mika said, right? And they won't change. And so they can do the grift. These guys, Morning Joe and others, I think what they've realized is their business model is just not going to work anymore.
Right.
You can't make a successful network out of just bashing Trump. And I think they've realized that, and that's why it was craven, right? And it was self-preservation.
I would have loved to have been in the meeting before that, like when they met with the president of the company and they said...
Yeah, someone told them that they had to do it.
Yeah, this was, look, you know what, if you want to be around here in a few months, you got to do this because we have no viewers and you have no connection to the president.
Right.
So what are you here for? You're a political show with nothing, and the Botox is wearing off.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.